And we are live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to another episode of Menopause Enough Already.
Yep.
We're excited today.
Super excited.
We're always excited.
That is true. I think we start that every time.
Yeah.
We're excited.
We're excited.
Awesome.
People are going to be like, I am not listening to you anymore because you're too
You're
excited.
liars. You say you're
guys
excited.
Are a lot. Yes.
Mental mindset.
Exactly.
Tell yourself you're excited. You're excited.
Exactly.
So I am Courtney,
I'm Heather.
and we're the Mac Sisters. Real women, real talk, menopause mysteries, all of the crazy things that we go through, and we're wondering what the heck is going on. So that's what we're here for. We want to talk about all of the different aspects of perimenopause, menopause, and help, solutions.
And just women's health.
Yeah, all of the things no one's talking about. We want to change the conversation. We want
And
to
change the world.
I do like that. We want to be part of the menopause movement.
The revolution.
Changing the conversation.
Yes.
So, Heather, why don't you shout out before we get, because
Okay.
I'm going to get started and then
Okay.
we're going to forget. So
All
we
right.
got to shout out.
Coming to you from Varsity Park, every recording. We are here at Varsity Park Studios at Varsity Park Franklin, Roanoke's newest innovative storage and business center. Check them out on Facebook or at varsityparkfranklin.com. Thank you to Varsity Park.
Yep, we love it.
We do.
Just so y'all know, I have a squeaky chair. I've like moved around. It's like, so sorry if y'all
Don't
are
put your
listening.
squeak in the microphone, please.
Right. So if you're hearing the squeaky chair, sorry, just ignore it. But part of the reason we're super excited today, we have a guest. Yes, super excited. So we have Jan Kenny with us, and she is a longtime lover of animals. She was in the veterinary business for 25 years, retired after 25 years. She has been a puppy coach since 2016. So she...
And she's got a puppy here today.
Yes, we did. We got to not make eye contact.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Follow the
Don't make
rules.
follow the rules.
That's right.
So she is a certified dog trainer, happily married for 30 years, mom of 3, grandchildren of 4, well, grandmom of 4. And she's a part-time fitness coach at a local gym here and are from Roanoke. We're coming to you from Roanoke. So she's local here to the area. So any of our Roanoke listeners, you may know her. You may want to get to know her after our podcast. She is passionate and focused about healthy lifestyle, focusing on longevity, human diet, strength training, all of the things that we kind of talk about as being pillars for not only perimenopause, menopause, but just for healthy living in general. We talk a lot about quality of life here at Menopause Enough Already. And so the strength training, human nutrition, rest, balancing hormones, all of those things are crucial, and we talk about them being kind of those pillars. So welcome, Jan.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited.
Yay! So all three of us are excited.
Yes, I know. We can't contain ourselves. Like,
Well, we appreciate you taking the time out to be here because we know you're busy. We know you have a lot going on, but we really appreciate you being here and wanting to be a part of this conversation that is lacking.
And share your
agree.
story.
I
Share your
agree.
story because I think women love to hear other stories. So they can relate and they know that they're not alone and that this journey is normal.
Right.
That what they are going through is normal. So
Well, and we've talked about before, no one's talking about what to expect, or no one is talking about how to prepare for this perimenopause, menopause, hormonal shift, and not just the hormones, all of the things that it
The
brings.
body changes.
Yes, all
Yeah.
of it, and the
Sure.
mental, the physical,
Sure.
the lack of sleep, the all of the things, and so then they feel like something's wrong with me.
Sure.
I'm broken. I don't know who I can't talk to my friends. No one is going to go through this. I'm the only one going through this. And we talked about, like, for me, looking back now, I see symptoms and things that were going on. But then it was not even a thought in my mind, hey, girl,
Sure.
you're in perimenopause.
Sure.
It was
well,
like-
and your physicians are telling you it's normal. Just buckle up. This is part
Right.
of getting older.
Yeah, hey, you're just getting
You know,
older.
it's part of life, and this is what you just expect, to go through hell. And, we tend to not want to take that advice. Right. At least I didn't want to take that advice and wanted to, be my own advocate and see what I could do to kind of, manipulate that a little bit and not necessarily just lay down and accept all of the things that,
Right.
were going to happen. And
Well, and changing that conversation. Heather and I have talked a lot about this, like especially in our mom's generation. She's in her 70s. It was like, if you even talked about it, or, oh, I'm not feeling comfortable, I'm not feeling good, like you were
Suck it up.
labeled as this whiny woman.
Suck it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like get in the corner, suffer in silence, and no.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
We
no,
don't
no.
have to, and that's the thing. There's no reason for us to have to feel that we can't express our emotions, first of all, express what's going on and what's wrong, and then, okay, let's fix the problem.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of feel like it didn't take a lot for me. It was, I was like, ooh, we're not doing this. No. It was like joint pain that, I chalked up to, oh man, I'm working out too much. Oh, I'm lifting too heavy. Oh, I'm doing this. But then when hot flashes and all that kind of stuff, no, we're not doing this. It's like, I'm a weenie. No, I'm not. We got to do something else.
And you don't know what you don't know.
That is the best
Right.
phrase ever.
Right. So once you kind of start hearing other stories and hearing other, listening to podcasts and things, and you're like, wait a minute, that makes sense to me. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
Or
and that's
I
all
feel
it's about.
like that. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not
and this
going
is what
crazy.
that person did, and maybe I
Yes.
can, try that and alter this path,
Or hallelujah, there's something I can do about this. You're telling me
100%.
I have options.
Right.
I can try something
Yeah.
else.
And there are. There are.
Yes.
There are.
And I want to point out there are options, natural options that can help. We've talked a lot about hormone. We're advocates for hormone replacement therapies because I was having a conversation this week. The natural remedies will help kind of, I'm not going to say alleviate the symptoms, maybe lessen the symptoms, but they will not help your body make hormones that it's not making anymore. Like it doesn't replace those hormones. And that was in this conversation I was having, that was kind of a misunderstanding that this woman was having. She said, well, I want to, treat this all naturally. I don't want to do the hormone replacement therapy.
I think you can increase your testosterone production.
Yes.
I think you can increase things naturally, quote
Yes.
unquote. But to be optimal
Right.
takes another level.
And, yes.
Yeah, and I think
And then if
too
they work
that
together
this
synergistically.
this is really good, especially for the younger women, that are just starting with perimenopause symptoms.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they still have hormones.
Yes.
But it's when your hormones drop too low,
Yes. You
they're
can't
not
catch
going to
up.
come back
No,
with
you can't catch
normal.
up.
No,
No.
you
Yeah.
can't
To be
fire
optimal.
it back
Right.
up, like you said, when it's not being produced.
Right.
So we were having this conversation, and this, I say girl, woman.
Me too.
Yeah, we
There-
girls.
I know. At heart. We'll always be girls at heart.
That's right.
Right?
But yeah, she was like, oh, like she was thinking, I'm going to take a homeopathic kind of
Approach.
supplement and it's going to boost my estrogen or boost. And it may, like you said, a little bit. There are
Incrementally.
things you could do, but if you're zero dust,
Yeah.
it's not going to do it.
You're not gonna create something
backfiring
out of
some
nothing.
dust. It's not
Right,
coming.
right.
So
Your
I think
symptoms
that
will
is,
take over. You know, they will
Yes.
take over. And it's just like, it's like taking a pain medication, you know, for chronic pain. If you're having surgery or something and they say, take it every 4 hours, you know, it's like you have to stay ahead of it. You have to stay ahead of it. You can't like let it full blown, because then you'll never catch up to it. You know, then you're
Never.
throwing the kitchen sink at it, trying to just at
Yes.
least alleviate those symptoms.
so
So,
something absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jan, would you share your story with us as far as like, you know, how old were you when you first started having perimenopause symptoms, and how did you feel, and what symptoms did you experience?
yeah, so my HRT journey started long before I even thought about menopause or perimenopause or anything. I had my son in 2000, and, you know, my husband's work was done. Here I'm now supposed to focus on this child. You know, I'm breastfeeding. Lucky if I get a shower. I'm just, you know, right? So your whole job from that moment on is to take care of that baby. And for probably the first 5 years, that's what I was focused on. And my story was more about my libido. It was in the toilet. I mean, literally, my husband's like, hello, remember me?
You're like, nope, I got this baby. That's
Remember
all-
me?
yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but it's like I can't help it. I
Yeah.
don't, the desire's gone. It's
Yeah.
just, and I felt like something was wrong with me. You know, something's up. And because I wanted to, and we would get into arguments about it. And
Right.
I felt so bad, but I was like, all right, this has got to change. My marriage is very important to me, and something's off. And now, you know, obviously I realize that that's just biology working, so that you take care of the child, so that you're
Right.
focused on the child. And so I think my husband at that point, he had started to get into testosterone, and he was, you know, working out and things. And we always worked out. We always were, you know, focused on gym activity, but having a new baby, you know, it kind of got put on the back burner. So
y'all were always kind of healthy, living, you know, movement, working out. That was
yeah,
always
ever since I was
important.
young. I mean, grew up on the beach. It was just that lifestyle.
Yeah.
I was intermittent fasting, you know, on accident. My mom was always like, "You need to eat breakfast." You know, I'm like, "No time. Gotta go to the beach. You know, gotta go. You know, hang out with my friends." So. So I was always pretty physically active. I mean, we didn't have a sedentary lifestyle, you know, in the 80s
No,
and
we
90s.
didn't have phones and
Right.
laptops and
Right.
all of that keeps
Right.
you sitting.
Right.
Like
So
we
I
had to
was
go.
always active, and so as a, you know, in my pregnancy, I only gained, you know, 45 pounds. You know, I was always just, you know, trying to kind of, and I always ate, you know, well. Of course, we had processed foods all over the place, so that was, you know,
Right.
And we'll go into that later, I'm sure. But at that time, he had started to get into testosterone, and I think he was sending me little messages of, you should try this. It's really, you know, it's good for women too. And I'm thinking, okay. And I was like, I have to do something.
How old were you at that point? Do you mind me asking?
No, so I was 30 when my son was born.
Okay.
31. So around 35, 36, I got on testosterone and had been on it ever since.
Wow.
So 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? So I've had a really good head start. So I think my best advice to girls, young women, start now.
And that's-
start
yeah.
before you need it.
Well, and we hear that all the time. It's not unusual for hormones to start changing mid-30s.
Right.
Like that is normal range. If you're looking at menopause average, back it up 7 to 10 years, very possible for 35, 36. Hormones are changing, things are changing, especially if you're having kids. Okay, we now have those hormonal fluctuations that are going along with that and the
Right.
changes that go along with that.
Right.
And that I have a question. You said, okay, husband's getting into testosterone. Now I'm getting into it. Did he find his doctor? Did he go to a hormone specialist? Did he say, come with me? Like, what did that process look like for you guys?
Right. And back then it was even harder because
I'm sure.
the doctors, any protocol doctor that you would go to is, hormones, they, cause cancer. And
Well, that was close to about, when did that, the
when Women's
study
Health
came out.
Initiative.
Yes, when did that
Yes.
come out? That was like 2002, 01,
can't
2000.
remember.
It was like
Yeah.
right around in there.
Yeah. So I was getting a lot of pushback from just normal, and I would ask, hey, are you able to work with my hormones? And no, and now I know why. They just weren't trained in that way, but they would always revert back to it causes cancer. And so, I did my own research. I did my own side stuff, and I didn't buy it. And we actually had a family friend who worked for a doctor who did hormones.
Wow.
And so we were able, excuse me, we were able to get in with her.
You're good. Yeah.
We all need a
Yeah, we
water
all
break.
have our drinks, our waters. We all
Right.
have our stuff. It's like, okay.
My throat will dry out.
Yep. Get some more if you need it.
Yeah, you
get some
step
more.
out, no worries. Yeah, grab one. Grab one.
Well,
Welcome back.
I put a little side story. I put a little jacket on before I put my sweater on today. Stuffed my pockets with cough drops. Took the jacket off, put the sweater back on, and I got about halfway down the road, and I went, my cough drops are in my jacket at home. Didn't bring them.
that I had put on and taken
that I
off.
had
and then-
purposely put in there so you guys didn't have to listen to me the whole time.
It will do that. It'll just dry out and then.
Yes. Yeah, no worries.
Usually-
Whenever
Yeah.
you're ready.
So we had this family friend in the space, and she was like, "Nope, come see this doctor. He knows, how to do this." So we both did, and he got us on that, and then it's been just a challenge because he ended up unfortunately committing suicide.
Oh my God.
wow.
And so we had to find another doctor, and so that family friend, she just went to the next doctor, and then she was like, "Well, I'm with this guy, and he's doing it now," and so we would just kind of follow her around,
Right,
and-
right. Little support group.
Yep. So we were lucky in that way, and even now, my doctor's in Florida.
Yeah.
And we do it through a online pharmacy and compounding
Yeah.
pharmacy and stuff, and.
Thank goodness for telehealth, right?
Right. And so the testosterone has always been part of my life. And then I think last couple years, I thought, the estrogen and progesterone part of this, I probably should explore. I didn't have any symptoms of really needing it, but I thought I want to round it out, optimize it. When I would do my blood work, it was always low, and I was told, well, the testosterone will work so much better if these other things are in play as well.
Right.
And so I was getting hot stuff during the night. I'd kick off the sheets, but nothing like I wouldn't soak the sheets
Right,
or anything like that.
right.
I was pretty lucky in that way. But just being on, and they started me with progesterone pills and estrogen pills. And right away, I got this lump in my breast. And
Really?
yeah, and I was like, something's up. And so I stopped the progesterone and estrogen just to kind of, because it obviously caused it. And
Did it go away?
yeah, it was a cyst. It was just
Yep.
like a nodule, and come to find out, it was because the estrogen was
Systemic.
synthetic.
Yeah, it was a systemic estrogen. So we did talk about that, and so it was because it wasn't bioidentical.
Right.
It wasn't what you needed.
Right. And so I was like, listen, let's go to, because I halved it. I did that on my own. I kind of halved it and then went every other day just to kind of like alleviate that. And that worked. But it alone was enough for me to be like, this isn't what my body is going to want. I want bioidentical.
Immediately, it's like, no.
It was telling you,
yes,
I don't like this.
Immediately, no, this is not for me.
Yeah. And I've always been one to listen to my body. If your body's telling you something, listen to it and then go from there. And so I told them I don't want the pills. I'd rather have the bioidentical cream. And so we did that, and no problems. No problems.
So how just a little boost in estrogen, little boost. Have you so you said your estrogen was low from your blood work before. Just that little bit, was that enough to bump it up? Where you felt?
Well, I have actually increased it since then because, they kind of start you off on this minimal, see how you do. And then I reported back several months into it. And I said, well, libido's great, all this is great, but I'd like to be more. I'd like to have, more of a better outcome. And so she said, well, how much are you doing? And I told her 1 click, or, she's like, oh no, go to 3 clicks. And so once I did that, it was a game changer.
So 1 click, what's the dosage of that?
modality?
I know, I don't right offhand. But
yeah, we talk about dose.
Because it's different for everybody.
Yes,
100%.
It's a very individual
not only that,
thing.
we want to make sure that our listeners understand, okay, so you're talking about your estrogen cream for the 1 click and, knowing what kind of dose that was. Do you know what your numbers were before and then what they got to when it was your optimal?
I could probably find it on my phone, my lab work somewhere.
we don't need to do that.
Stress.
I don't, but it's. I think they look at it as like the phases, your luteal phase, and your all of that. So I was still in that, phase of
Good and plenty.
yeah. But it could be more to be optimal.
And I think that's a big part of it. It's like, yes, I feel better, but do I feel optimized?
Yeah.
Do I feel like, yes, this is where I want to stay? Because you go, yeah, I'm feeling better. It's like, yeah, I'm okay, but. And
as women,
optimized?
I think we tend to do that anyway. Just, I'm good.
Oh,
I'm
gosh,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
But can I be better?
Right.
Yeah, I can be better. And then you dance that line between, being optimized and then not having any side effects from it either, right? Because you can obviously overdo it. There was one doctor that prescribed me testosterone injectable, Cypionate. And I was like, all right, cool. It's the doctor. Right. She knows what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing.
And I did it for a while. And I mean, I went off of it. I'll just say, and I was told from a family friend too. She said, you don't, if you were training for a competition,
right?
Okay, I'd put you on that maybe for a month or something. But long term, it doesn't have the protective mechanisms in it that the bioidentical stuff does.
Yes.
So I quickly was like, all right, I love how I feel. Sure. I'm like, I'm jacked.
Wonder Woman.
Right? Right? And, but, long term, you have to look at that. Am I doing damage?
Right.
You know, and so.
Well, and that's the part, hormone replacement therapy is to help our bodies continue to function and feel good long term, going into end of life. I mean, like, we want to feel good forever, but at the same time, we don't need to overdose on these, which you can.
Yes.
It's microdosing for symptom relief to feel good. And it is very individual. It is continuous monitoring. We say that a lot. It's continuous monitoring, because even those doses that you're on will need to change as you are moving through life. Hormones change, organ function changes. We continue to age. Things continue to change. But we don't need to go to a huge dosage right away. We start small.
Yep.
Let's microdose. All right, how are we feeling here? I want a little bit more. How are we feeling here? What are our symptoms? That's the biggest thing, not just blood work. I think sometimes people think, my blood work, how many times we hear, oh, my blood work says I'm normal, but I feel like crap. Okay, then something's changing. We need to talk about that. But yeah, like.
Well, and the blood work values are a little tricky too, because what's normal, right?
Exactly.
Right. So
you've got this huge bell curve.
Yeah. Right.
And you've got the
what
whole population.
might be normal for me might not be normal for you, but they
Exactly.
have this like value system in place that's like, okay, well, if you're within these limits, you're good. And it's like, well, who says? You know, I might be out here and good, you know?
Yes.
So I always like to go high on these values. I like to be higher. That's where I feel the best. You know, and as long as I'm not doing any damage long term, then, you know, okay.
Right.
You know, let's be in that space, you know? So
Well, so do you feel like you said you followed that family friend to different doctors. Do you feel like you were fortunate to find the right doctor? I mean, we've talked about that as well. You've got to kind of groove and vibe with your doctor, your provider, because sometimes, you know, they have limitations to what they want to do or modalities or whatever. Do you feel like I'm with my doctor, or do you feel like I have wanted to shop or whatever?
I think I'm on a constant quest for that perfect doctor, honestly. I think, you know, we all have our limitations, and, you know, I would love, I mean, I'd love to be that person, that doctor. I'd love to go back in school and
That's what
I
we're
said
talking
that.
about.
I'm like,
right?
I'm going back. I'm opening my own place.
Right? Because
I'm doing
I
this.
know
I'll
what
be
everybody
60,
needs.
but
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say no. I'm on the constant quest to find the right person. I would like to find somebody local, and you know, it's not cheap. You know, insurance doesn't cover it, so it's. You know, I like to weed out the charlatans a little bit, because there are people in this space that are just trying to make money and
Jumping on the bandwagon.
and so
Yeah.
by doing, you know, this and talking with other women, this is where you get the information. You be, oh, I have this doctor, or I have this person that I really love, and you know, so that's I'm always on the quest.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen.
Well, that's funny. I have an acquaintance. I wouldn't call her friend, but she said, I've been to several doctors. I have been, so she was on birth control like forever. And she was like, and no one told me, when you come off of this, your hormones are going to be shot because you've been taking birth control for 20 some years or whatever. She was like, half my hair fell out. Like instantly I was this wreck. So she has been on this quest, and she said, and I like my numbers higher than some practitioners like to
Are
go.
comfortable. Yeah.
And so she said, you know, I've had doctors say, no, I'm not going to do that. Thank you very much. She said, and I go on. So, and then also an issue for her, topicals, creams. She did not, you and I have talked about this, her body did not really absorb it well. And so she's like, I'm creaming up like all the time, all this. And she was like, my body just wasn't absorbing and using it. And even oral pills, like some relief. She said, my body just, I guess, is weird like that.
Well, I think, too, you know, we're bombarded in our environment with hormone disruptors.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
So tell me what you mean by that.
yeah, so, well, microplastics, seed oils, processed foods, I think they're all hormone disruptors. Anything that you are either inhaling, absorbing through the skin, ingesting, other than a proper human diet, is going to disrupt your system in some way. And look at our children these days, right? So there are a lot of just chemicals in our environment that are wreaking havoc on our hormones.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've talked about that, the infertility,
Right.
Right.
the PCOS, these things that we're seeing in these 20-year-old women, 21, and you go, what?
Right.
What is going on? Well, hello.
Yeah.
It's
All
the
of
environment.
the
It's the
things.
environment.
The
Right.
process. We're not eating food. We're eating food-like substances.
Right.
things
It's edible.
It's edible.
right.
It's just a bunch of chemicals and
Right.
compounds put together.
Right.
That to taste like food.
And in the short term, you won't kill you, but
Right.
over time and over constant exposure, your body's going to start to break down. It's
Yeah.
going to start to have symptoms. You're going to start to have autoimmune issues. You're going to have to start, diabetes. All of these things that are so avoidable, right? With just proper nutrition and so absorbing hormones even.
Yep.
If you don't set your body up properly with nutrition, good sleep, all of these things, you're fighting a battle.
Yeah.
So all of these things have to work synergistically.
Yes.
They have to work together. So you have to kind of model your life to kind of set yourself up for success and try to do all of those things. I mean, it's constant, right? walk around all day just like, what's going to poison me today?
Right.
Right.
And
Pick
I've
your
been
poison. I mean, really.
right. And this goes back to, listening to your body. And, I suffered with chronic migraines my whole life and as a kid. And I went to neurologist after neurologist. I did an inpatient program. I was put on beta blockers, antidepressants.
Wow.
I did Botox therapy. I did it all. And not once did a doctor ask me what I was eating.
What are you eating?
It's the first thing in veterinary medicine we ask. What's your
What are you
dog
feeding
on?
the
What's your
dog?
cat on, right? That's how we diagnose. That's how we kind of get to the root of things. And not once. And come to find out, it was sugar.
Really?
So I was a sugar addict. I ate sugar constantly, candies, right? Skittles, Starburst. I always had candy on me. And then I would get a headache, and then I would take my medication. And then, rinse, repeat constantly. And so I got to the point of just something's got to change.
Yeah.
This is not working for me.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you feel like the medications were actually helping you to then function with the migraine?
Right.
And I only ask because my life has been similar, and the beta blockers, the antidepressants, the preventative medicines, which all had their own side effects.
Yes, ma'am.
And mine was peanut butter. And so I'd eat a peanut butter sandwich when I had a migraine because I was nauseous.
Yeah.
So I was just feeding the migraine.
Yes, and that's what I was doing because the
that's what-
sugar
right.
felt good. It was
Yes.
hitting my
Yes.
dopamine.
Yes.
It was hitting the dopamine, and so I was like, this is going to make me feel better. It was all about feeling better,
Yes.
whatever I could do. Well, I was actually making the problem worse by, because sugar's super inflammatory, right?
Yeah.
So it was causing this inflammation, and carbs, same thing, because carbs are just sugar. So it was this just vicious cycle. And if one of those doctors would have just said, hey, just stop eating sugar, stop eating carbs, just let's see how that goes, it would have saved me so much time, agony, right? All that.
And then, like you said, it's like
we expect them to know these
put
things.
our
And
total faith
Yes.
and trust.
right.
That's what we were just talking
That's
about.
right.
DR,
That's right.
we walk in and and so you tell me to do it, I'm going to do it. You tell me to take it.
We blindly trust.
Yeah, we
Yep.
blindly trust
Yep.
without, hey, we can do our own research. I mean, goodness gracious, we have everything right there in front of us, medical journals, articles, all reliable resources. Just, hey, this is how I feel this. This is how I
we
feel
have that.
this.
I mean, now, that's just been in our generation
but
where
no,
we have
back then we didn't.
access.
Yeah, right.
To all this
Back
information.
then, no, we just trusted.
No, yes.
We trusted our doctors.
Yes.
We trusted the government.
Right.
That tells
Right.
us, this is what you should be eating. Stay away from saturated fat. It's bad. Sugar's fine.
Right.
And it, nope.
But even like sugar itself has changed over the years, If you can say it was a less processed sugar than what we are ingesting now.
Well,
I mean, really,
It's
yes.
in everything.
Everything.
Everything. So I became a label reader. I was never a label reader. I was like, oh, this, just go for the brand. I was always a brand name person, because if it's a brand name, then it's,
They've got a reputation to protect.
Yeah,
They're going to work
they're not
harder
going to
for
hurt
you.
me,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so I started reading labels, sugars and everything. And so once I eliminated that out, I'm basically in remission. I can't tell you the last time I had a headache.
Really?
Yay, that is awesome.
Yeah. And so it's, I have rescue still, the triptan, but haven't had to use one in forever.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
how old were you when you decided I'm gonna research this or take sugar out of my diet? Like, how old were you then?
It was, I think it was right before we moved up here. It was probably 2020. It was pretty much in the forefront. My husband was doing carnivore, and I was like, oh, I like fruit. I like vegetables.
Right.
You're crazy. And he's like, well, vegetables are trying to kill you. I'm like, come on,
Right.
let's be reasonable here. So he started doing it, and then I was like, well, let me try it, because what I learned through the carnivore diet is that it's basically an elimination diet. You just get rid of everything out of your diet except meat, which is the least inflammatory food, and let your gut rest, let your body reset, and then you can start adding things one at a time and see what really bothers you, people with gluten allergies. We shouldn't be eating gluten. Like, why are we even eating bread? The bread, yeah. So, of course, you're going to have an allergy. Your body is saying, no, that is not for me. That is not, that doesn't make me function properly. So, once you get everything out of your system, and then you can kind of, play with putting things back in. But everything cleared up. My brain fog cleared up. I was able to sleep. My gut, I was always bloated, always bloated. And once I got vegetables out of my diet, went away.
All right. So for everybody listening, you said carnivore diet. So just meats or eggs, correct?
Yes. So mainly animal products.
Okay.
So butter, grass-fed butter, and eggs, chicken, red meat, shrimp, fish, and red meat is apparently the least inflammatory, and then the other foods are less, but may have some. Like, people have shellfish allergies. People have so there's still I don't know of anybody that has a red meat allergy. They could be out there, but so you start there. And if you can do just red meat and just really get rid of everything else, you become so in tune with your body. It's incredible, because the second you add something else, you go, oh, wow, like I have a headache instantly, or my joint hurts. Yeah.
Red meat gets such a bad rap.
Well,
they go,
you know why?
Red meat sparingly.
Right.
Red meat sparingly.
You know why?
Tell me.
So a certain religious organization demonized it, because what they understood was that meat helped increase your testosterone. So they didn't want a bunch of, teenagers and people, going around and doing all sorts of promiscuous things that, because that was in their head, that, meat was going to cause you to,
Wow.
go crazy and be promiscuous or whatever. So they demonized it. And then that's when the advent of Kellogg's cereals, Kellogg's cornflakes, right? This was supposed to be the answer.
The healthy breakfast.
Right. And they got rid of all the, bacon was bad. Let's get rid of bacon. Eggs were demonized, cholesterol. Right. So they got rid of all of the things.
All the healthy food.
That we should be eating and
Real food
gave us all this
and
processed
eat a
stuff.
bowl of processed
sugar.
And you're hungry in 30 minutes. And
So you can eat
Fat-free,
more.
it's, all that. And it absolutely ruined us.
Yeah.
Absolutely ruined us. So now...
So carnivore.
Yeah.
How long have you been eating that way?
Yeah. So I would consider myself carnivore-ish.
Okay.
Now that I did, my 30 days of, just getting reset. And then I do like fruit. I tend to go off of lower glycemic fruits, berries, pomegranates. I love pomegranates this time of year. Good high polyphenols. So I love pomegranates. They don't bother me, so I can do those.
So you can do them. Your
right.
body's like, we're good.
Right. So we'll do our, breakfast, quote unquote breakfast, our first meal of the day. Bacon, eggs, or chicken, maybe a piece of avocado or something like that, half of avocado. And then dinner, we'll do a steak or chicken or pork or whatever that is. That's our main, that's pretty much all we eat is just meat for dinner. And then later on, since we'll eat kind of early-ish, 6 o'clock or so, we'll do like a later on cottage cheese with berries and nuts. And it doesn't bother me. It doesn't cause me inflammation. It doesn't cause,
Yeah.
That
right.
gives
doesn't
you
give me any, negative
the
side
gas,
effects.
the bloating, the
don't do
joint
any of that.
pain,
Right.
no headaches.
Right.
But again,
But
it's
some people are
very
lactose,
individual.
right? So if you're
Right.
lactose intolerant, well,
that wouldn't work.
Right,
Right.
right. So you have to kind of do something else. But
Well,
you
I
just
think that's part of our society. We want the convenience. We want, tell me what you eat, and then I'll eat the same thing. Or tell me what your plan is, and then I'll eat the same thing. They don't want to do the work to find out.
Or they don't know. They don't know how to do the work to find
That's
out.
true.
I mean,
I
there's a
mean-
lot of people out there like that. So I know I've been guilty of. I asked Jan, I was like, what
Tell me
does
what
your
you're
day
eating.
look like?
Tell me what you're doing. I will do it
So I've modified it for me.
for you, right?
Because I know it's like, okay, well, I don't eat nuts.
And
I
what's
have
sustainable,
this-
too,
Exactly. So, I mean, so you've got to do what works for you. But people do, they want to know, okay, I'm going to try something new. I'm not sure what I need to do. So let me see. You've had good results. What are you doing?
Right, right. But then again, it's just like anything. Our bodies will talk to us. Our bodies will tell us yes, no.
you just have to
and
listen.
You have to listen. And I think we have, we've like shut down our mind-body connection and listening. And
We
because
make
it's like,
excuses.
I'm busy. I don't have time. I got this. I got that. And it does. It takes some effort. And I don't have time to put into that. I don't want to.
Or the meal preps. I mean, it takes a lot to have cooked meat. Courtney, you won't eat leftover meat.
Yeah.
You're going to cook
No,
it at every meal.
Right. And that is, I have found a little recipe of chicken that I can eat cold out of the fridge.
Have you ever had steak cold?
I
You
eat
cut it
steak
up in
cold.
strips. That's so
it's
good.
good.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
finger
how we
food.
travel. Well,
See, I'm so weird. Like, no.
well, that's what I'm saying.
I can picture it, and it's like,
That goes back to sustainability. Like, you're only going to stick to the things that,
Yes.
you can stick to.
Yes.
And so that's where the success happens. If you can't stick to something, then
like, well, I did 2 days. I'm out.
yeah, you got to find the thing. And then depending on your output, are you going to the gym every day? Are you sitting at home on the couch every day? So your output really has to kind of,
Are you getting steps in?
Yeah.
All of it.
you're going to require more,
Yeah.
than if you're, just sitting around. But because it's all good. You could do nothing. I mean, you could do nothing and just eat a healthy diet and improve all of your markers and improve how you feel and all that.
But
And
they
then when
say
you add
can't-
exercise,
you
when you
can't
add,
work out a bad diet.
yes. Well, people would come to me in the
Can't
gym.
outrun your fork.
You can't outrun your fork. That's a good one.
Yeah,
People
whatever
would
you're
always
putting in.
ask me about, ab workouts, and I say, abs
don't
are
do
made in the
that.
kitchen,
Right?
right? Abs are made in the kitchen. It's just, they're in there.
You can't
Everybody's
spot
got them.
reduce.
Everybody has them. You
Yeah.
just got to get rid of the layer that's, in between.
So let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
You said you started testosterone like mid-30s because you were already seeing some hormonal changes.
Yeah, I just wanted my libido back.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like so you were already doing those things, already healthy lifestyle, so that when you started to hit perimenopause, menopause, you were already on
Yeah.
a good trajectory,
Yeah,
on the right. So that minimized how hard it hit your life.
Yeah. I got lucky. I
yes.
skated through a lot of it.
And that is kind of what our mission is by doing this. It's like, if we can be proactive, if we can get this information out, if we can start having these conversations, it doesn't have to be a life-altering, huge. I mean, for most women, it's a horrible time.
And
in
I would
their
say don't
lives.
wait. Don't wait until you're having
Exactly.
symptoms. You do it now. There's no reason not to. You may feel better. You just may sleep better. Your brain fog might go away.
And you're going to have to advocate. You might have to change doctors. You
Right.
might have to fight for yourself. Just since we've been doing this, when did we start doing this? October? Is that
End of September, October, something like that?
We're just in the beginning of this, but the number of women that we have already talked to, heard from, and they say, my doctor won't draw my blood. My doctor won't have a conversation
Or
about
says
it.
you're too young.
My
It's like
doctor
you're only
immediately
35.
says, you're too young. I want it. Draw my blood.
find another doctor.
That's what we said. Find another
And
doctor.
there are some online. There's Ways to Well. There's Rivero. Rivero is actually, it was done by Sean Baker, who coined the phrase carnivore. So he's the author of the whole carnivore diet, and he now has an online doctor, it's called Rivero. And, I don't have any personal experience with either of them. Friends of ours did the Ways to Well. And
Write this down.
it was a 45-minute consultation after your blood work is done. It was absolutely comprehensive. It was detailed. They've set up a plan for you. They work with hormones, peptides, stem cells, all of these things.
See, and that's all. Those are all
Right.
more
Alternative,
steps
yes.
and things to do that
Right.
I think is just starting, like the peptides.
The peptides
and
are-
the conversation about those.
Yeah, and I'm so excited about this administration coming in, because I think with RFK, he's super knowledgeable. He's on testosterone. He's super knowledgeable about this. I was afraid. I was hearing little buzzings that it would be harder to get your testosterone. They were going to start to legalize peptides, especially BPC 157.
Oh, which is huge.
Works.
Yes.
That's why they want to get rid of it.
Right.
So,
We're not making enough money.
yeah, and they need to monetize it. Of course, the drug companies will just take it over
Yep.
and then
Exactly.
and then
And
go
then-
ahead
and
and sell
like-
it.
Yep. Yep.
In their formula.
Right.
But so you have to just go into this with your eyes open and not listen to everybody, but listen to people that make sense, that you trust. Right.
And it
So-
has to resonate with you. And you have to feel like, okay, this is the direction that I want to go, for my health, because not everybody has to try peptides or everything. And nobody has to do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to look for perfection. And we don't want people to get frustrated or down because they're like, oh, there's so many things I need to do in order to feel better.
Do one.
Do
Start with
one thing
if that's all you
one
can
thing,
handle.
one
Do
thing at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, like, if you don't know what to do, do nothing. So it's always best to do nothing, right? Like eat nothing,
Right.
just eat basic stuff and then see how you feel, just change one thing. It's like it changes your whole trajectory. If you just do a 2-degree, just make one change, right? So if you drink a lot of Pepsis or a lot of
Right.
Coke, just
Let's go to water.
just
do
stop that
water.
and see what happens, So you just take one step at a time.
Yeah.
And then what you'll find is that you start making better decisions because you start feeling so good
Yeah.
that it's a domino effect. And you look at everything with that lens of, is this worth it? If I put this in my body, is this, am I going to pay for this?
It's got to be worth it. And then
It's
you
got to
go.
be worth it.
It's like that cookie or that
We were
what-
laughing about that this morning because I haven't had like sugar or anything like that in like 30 days. Okay, we're going to reset. We're going to just
Yes,
take
ma'am.
it all out. So yesterday I was making Christmas fudge, right?
Oof,
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a little bit.
weakness.
And I'm going to have a little bit. So I had 2 little squares. My weight was up this morning. And I went,
Interesting.
like immediate inflammation, like immediate your
Fluid
body
retention.
Goes,
Yep.
hey, we're,
Yep.
we're going to hold on to some
Yep.
stuff. How many times do we have to go, why do I
Why
keep
did I
seeing if
do
sugar is
that?
worth it? Is this worth it?
I know.
Is this worth it?
Well,
I'm
it's-
up 2 pounds. No.
It's such an immediate dopamine gratification. It feels good, but
Right.
it's just seconds, and then it's gone, and then you're like, oh, why did I do
Why
that?
did I do that?
But
Or I want more. And
Yeah. But I think if you do the right thing most of the time, then, you can give yourself those little things and your insulin isn't going crazy and you're not, your body knows what to do with it, So it's not about being so restrictive that you don't live a good life. Like, I mean, I don't know how you feel about the carnivore now that you're just kind of jumping off into it, but it's not restrictive at all. It's like
No.
you get these very palatable, you're getting rich food. It's just you don't eat much because those satiety signals are going off.
Yeah.
Like when you're eating carbs and sugar, they never go off.
They
so
never
you just
go.
eat,
You're
eat,
hungry,
eat.
hungry.
Right. And then you just constantly, and you, next thing you know, a bag of chips is gone, right? So with, healthy fat and protein, you can only eat so much. I always tell try to overeat on. You can't. So, the guide is like you eat it until it stops tasting good, because that's when your body is telling you you've had enough.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then it's all you need,
But again, I think that goes back to we've stopped listening to our bodies. I know for me, I was eating on a schedule. Like regardless of
whether you're
or
hungry or not, yeah.
I got to eat because I'm getting ready to go to the gym. Oh, I got to eat because I'm out of the gym, and I got to eat because it's this, and I got to eat because I don't want to get into starvation mode because I've starved to death ever in my life.
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like, but we're listening to all these things, and I know I was eating like on such a routine, such a regular schedule. This is how much I'm eating. I don't even know if my body was communicating whether it was hungry or not anymore.
Right.
And it was,
it never had the opportunity.
no, we're
Right.
not hungry because
No.
you continue to stoke the fire. You hear all this, you got to feed it. Okay,
And you're
well,
never-
stop feeding it. You're
You're
okay.
good.
You're going to be
And
okay.
I think you don't give your gut and your body time to rest and actually be without food. That's where the autophagy and those things happen that
the
are super,
healing.
super good for
Yes.
cellular turnover. And there's days where I don't even think about food. I just don't even think about it because, my body has what it needs. And so it just doesn't, it's not seeking food.
Right.
And there's little hacks you can do. There's breathing exercises. We do this 20-minute breathing exercises in the morning. We've gotten off of it a little bit, but
And what do you do this for? What is that helpful for?
so it's just good for your calmness. your sanity. It just kind of puts you into the day with just a calm mindset. And as a side effect, what I realize is that it actually it works on your parasympathetic nervous system. So I wasn't hungry. Like I could go into the session hungry, and then all of a sudden, it's like it goes away. It does something to your gut. There's something that happens when you do these breathing things, and it was strange. So yeah,
that's neat.
So a little hack.
Write that down.
Yeah,
there's into that.
There's an app. It's a diver app. The icon is a little mask. It's a black and white mask, and so you can set it for breath holds where your breath holds are longer, or your breathing is longer in between breath holds. Okay. So you can adjust it how you want to do it. But it's amazing. And just doing breathing, I mean, it's been proven that has such a impact on your system and everything. So,
well, now I was going to ask, as you're talking,
Courtney's trying to talk from
I'm
across
walking
the
around and, all the good things.
Yeah.
If there is something that you wish you would have done earlier or changed earlier, or looking back, I wish I would have done this. Is there anything that comes to mind, or like we talked about, do you feel super blessed that you started early, you were already in that good place? Is there something that you would have done differently?
It's an interesting question because I think, going back and trying to do things differently, I feel like all roads kind of lead us to where we are, right? Right? Mm-hmm. Any deviation could upset, the course. I do wish that I would have stopped the sugar a long time ago.
And all
and listened to my body more on that front, and not trusted the powers that were, trying to sell me something. But you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah. And we trust, and but I had my aha moment, and I'm grateful for that. I think there's a lot of those still to come. I think we're constantly learning and changing and improving, and I learn something every day, and just keeping yourself open to that will definitely help you evolve. But yeah, that's probably sugar. I was just such an addict with it.
I think we all are, honestly.
Yeah, and it was causing me so much pain. I mean, and the anxiety that came along with that, because I'm thinking, all right, when's my next migraine? Am I going to go to the hospital? What's the fallout from that? There's just the whole thing, and so
debilitating.
It was debilitating, and if just one person would have just said, hey, let's look at your diet.
Yeah.
Let's find, let's look at what's causing the headaches, right? So, but I was very fortunate that I was proactive in a lot of the things that I've done. Retinols, I did that since I was 20 years old, and that was out of necessity too. I got cystic acne as a child, and they were very painful, and so my doctor put me on tretinoin and clindamycin, so I've been on that for 30 something years. So all of these things kind of just happened out of necessity early. I wanted to be proactive, and yes, I saw a lot of doctors at the same time, and so I was misled as well into different things. But you kind of sift through it all, and I decided that they only are going to do so much for me. Yeah. I have to now, I have to take over and do for me and listen to my body. Yep. What works, what doesn't work, how do I want to feel, and people that, just have excuses or what. It's just like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah, it boils down
just
to
how bad do you want? If you don't want it that bad,
quality of life.
Yeah.
What do you want for your life? How do you want to live?
Yeah.
And if
we got
you're-
one life,
Right.
How do you want to go through it?
Right. And if you are in pain and suffering already in 40s and early 50s,
Yeah, doesn't get better.
no.
Yeah, if you keep doing what you're doing. And so there just comes a time where you just need to reset and take inventory of what's going on and what you may be able to do different, and just do those little things and see how you feel.
Yeah, like you said, pick one thing, master that, or build that habit around that. And then
just go after it. Go after it.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of, especially women, we put ourselves last. We put ourselves on the back burner. So I don't have the energy to try and then take care of me. It's like what's left is what I'm going to get. And I'm exhausted and I'm miserable and I'm tired. And this is life. And this is where I'm at.
That's what I love about this. I call it my third phase of life, right? The first phase is like, you're just kind of figuring things out. Second phase is either marriage, career, kids, right? And then the third phase is empty nest, retirement. I get to kind of do it all over again. I get to kind of, focus on me and make myself a priority and do all of the things I can so that I am healthier and live a healthy lifestyle and am as physically fit as can be, and all of those things that, because we know dementia, right? That's, right? So
Absolutely.
all of these things we can prevent. So be proactive now. We're always proactive for something, right? So
True.
Right today, we're being proactive in maintaining our mental health and our physical health and preventing falls and just doing, hips and, breaking hips and stuff. Like these things can be, if you're not in good physical condition, these can be, life altering,
For sure.
So you have to kind of set yourself up for aging.
Yeah.
We're all going to do it, right?
Exactly.
Well, we're all aging. I don't care how old you are.
No one gets out alive.
Whether you're 20 or you're 80, you're aging every day.
Yes.
And you can be proactive. We brush our teeth every day to prevent cavities.
Right.
We don't wait until we have a cavity to
start
then I'm going to
brushing our
start
teeth.
brushing my teeth.
Right.
Like, why do we not give the same effort to our food or our movement or our strength training? Especially for our perimenopause, menopause ladies, we have to strength train. We have to.
That skeletal muscle is so
Yes.
important.
Yes.
So important.
We have to do that and start today. Start today. And don't procrastinate. That is the one thing that it doesn't matter what age you are, start today.
Time's
and
going
do
by
it.
anyway.
Right.
Like tomorrow's
Right.
going to come the next. So you might
Exactly.
as well start working on things that are going to get you down the road in a positive way instead of
where you want to be in
Yeah.
6 months or a year. That 6 months, like you're saying, is still going to come and go, and you can
Right.
be in the exact same place
Right.
that you are, or worse,
Right.
now.
Yeah.
because you always
Or-
look back and you're like, oh my God, I could have.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
had I
could've done-
just done this, I do that with
Yeah,
my
so just do it. It's
had I started earlier. Had I just started in my 20s,
I just want everybody to feel amazing and to live their life, as full as they can.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science. It's just trying to minimize things that are bad for us and maximize things that are good for us. And that's it.
Well, and kind of going back to the basics, you think about people in the 50s, 60s, 70s, everybody was thin and they were in the sun and nobody was getting skin cancer. And like, it was just different because they were eating whole foods.
Yeah.
They weren't eating all the processed foods. Kids ran around and played outside.
They were getting their
worked too.
and
because,
adults
like,
were,
we
yes.
were just
They were
made to
getting
be
their
Yes.
vitamin D,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
How many
Yep.
of us are deficient in that, you know?
Yeah,
And-
there wasn't the phones. I mean, like, we can sit and get lost in our phone like in no time. You go, oh, where'd that 45 minutes go? Holy cow, I've been sitting here.
just scrolling.
Or the streaming services, or like nonstop movies, nonstop
Right.
anything you want.
Watch a whole season of a show because you're like, what? No, I've never done that.
No, it just the thing. Society has changed, and it has created sedentary people.
So in turn, we need to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-advantageous. Is that a thing? Did I make that up?
No, you're good.
Sounds good, though.
Sounds great.
So it's exactly what I mean. So we've got to take it upon ourselves to, hey, I can make a good food choice.
Yeah.
There's no reason why I can't.
Yeah.
Even if you go to a restaurant, I don't care if you go to a fast food restaurant, pull the meat off the bun, you know?
Well, there's actually people in this space that tell you how to order at different restaurants and different fast
Really?
food. Oh yeah, and you can get a la carte, a lot
Yes.
of things a la carte,
Yes.
and alleviate the bread and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Buffalo Wild Wings, they little plug there, they fry their wings in beef tallow.
Oh, that's better.
So that's why we go there,
Yes.
you know, because that's important.
better choice.
They all used to be fried in beef tallow,
Right.
McDonald's, and then, of course, seed oils came along and they're cheaper and
And they
everything.
last
and
longer. They don't
yeah.
have to
they
switch
don't
out
spoil.
their
Right,
oils.
right. And then now we have, so hopefully that stuff kind of comes back. Speaking of tallow, I actually brought you guys a gift. And this kind of goes along with these chemicals in our environment. I started making soap.
You did?
You did?
I did. And it's made out of bear tallow.
Oh my gosh, where do you
I
even
know,
get
where do you
something
get
like
that?
that?
Oh my
Instantly, I go, where
So-
do you get that?
In my backyard.
Well, our neighbor
I
had shot a
harvested.
bear. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Okay.
And it was funny because friends from Florida, they were trying to get a hold of my husband. He goes, and he called him back and he's like, sorry I didn't get back with you, but I was helping my neighbor get a bear out
I
of
was
the woods. And he's
wrestling
like,
a
of
bear.
course you were.
Yep, yep.
Like the things
You've
we say
moved
now.
up to
right?
Virginia.
Right,
Yeah.
right. The things we say now. So he gave us all this wonderful bear fat. And so
That's crazy.
I rendered it down and added some essential oils and some lye and water and presto. So
Oh my gosh, I
that
want to be
is-
Jan. when
because
I-
it's like,
know.
you start seeing these things where it's like, this product, the sodium lauryl sulfate or
It's
whatever's in
crazy.
it causes this. And so, if you just try to minimize, you can't minimize it all,
Right.
It's,
And
You're right.
not everybody has
It's,
access
you know.
to bear fat. I mean,
but you can use beef fat. You can, you can use, there's this, I think it's called Soap Calc, CALC. And it's a calculator to how to make soap out of all these different types of fats. So you could go to your
So
butcher
cool.
and you could ask for beef fat or you could buy it. They have it there. I've seen it. And then make your own soap. So it's easy. I mean, if I can do it,
that is
anybody
so
can
cool.
do it. So it's like one more thing I can do to kind of minimize environmental stuff,
So do you feel like you are always looking for things you can improve on?
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
There's always a better way to.
we're doing this
Yeah.
nutritionally, we're doing this physically,
Just
our sleep is good.
optimize.
Optimizing. That needs
Yeah.
to be our new buzzword of
Yeah.
2025.
And in my
Optim-
workouts, I mean, I go in there and I just, I leave it all there because it's, if I'm going to be there, I'm going to do the hardest that I can. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to, and then you start seeing results and you're like, oh, wow, this actually works. I'm going to keep doing this.
How long do you
and
work out a day?
It's like an hour. You know, I could be there longer.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I love how I feel. And it's a great excuse to just sit on the couch because you have to rest. Like in
Yes.
order to build muscle,
Yes.
rest is part of that. And so, and we sometimes, I mean, he kind of overtrains my husband because, I mean, he'll do 1,000 push-ups and I'm like, that's, you know, and then my shoulders hurt. Well, I wonder why, right?
Maybe excessive.
You know, maybe you're overtraining a bit, you know, type of thing. But you know, I could just be in there all day. I just love how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
And then I get to come home and just sit on the couch, and because you really probably can't do much.
Yeah.
It's like your
Right.
arms feel like noodles, your legs,
Yeah.
whatever. So you know,
Do you feel like that's been a huge benefit? Is y'all doing it together, like both of you being kind of in that same headspace?
yeah, it was funny because in the beginning, you know, he was kind of like, "Oh, you should do this or try this," and I'm, you know, I would fight that a little bit. Like, I'm good. I know what I'm doing, you know. And so there was he kind of felt there was a little like, all right, I'm just going to leave you alone
Right.
and let you do it. And
Right.
and then once he did that, everything was great, you know. And but sometimes we will work out together, and which is kind of fun. He'll do my workout, or I'll do his workout, or we'll kind of do that stuff together. So I do like it. I do like it.
You would think that anytime we have somebody in our corner that, hey, we're going to do this together, we're going to do this together, you know, just somebody that you can work with. We've told our listeners several times, if we are your person, you know, message us, email us. We want to be there for you.
Yes,
if you don't feel
100%.
like you have anyone else in your corner or whatever, we are always there
Support.
to give you a shout out.
Yeah,
I mean, anything.
support, a little push, whatever you need.
Right.
You know?
Or answer. I mean, that's why this whole podcast started, because Heather and I would be on the phone with each other. Hey, have you blah, blah, blah? Are you dealing with this? Like, have you felt this? What do you think about this? Or, holy crap, I got to tell you the freaking most hilarious story that happened to me or
That's
whatever.
awesome.
And we were saying we should have recorded our phone conversations for like the past 2 years, because
Yes.
that's kind of where this whole thing came from. So
It's
all
great.
of that to say, like, find that person. Like, if you don't have anybody, we will be that person for you.
That's
and
awesome.
finding that gym buddy, the
Yes.
person that's going to go through this with you, where you
Yes.
can kind of compare notes and lift each other up, because you're not both going to be like on cloud 9 every day, and you know, you need that support.
Yeah, and when that, you know, oh, I don't feel like doing it, I got to tell Heather later if I didn't, so I'm going to do it anyway. You know, like that accountability.
Accountability.
Or
Yes.
Hey, I ate 2 pieces of fudge.
and now I feel like crap, so just letting
there's
you
that.
know.
It's big of you to admit it, though. It's big of you to admit it, right? You're setting yourself up for some, you know, you're going to hear it,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
but-
no, I
but that's
think,
good.
you know, we've talked about a bunch of things today, and it boils down to quality of life. I mean, all of it. What we're eating, HRT, movement, like
There's so much you can do.
there is
There's
so much. And I know we've all heard that phrase, but I love it. Pick your hard, because it's going to be hard to have health complications or be weak and need
Much harder.
you know, a wheelchair, a walker,
Right.
a cane, a whatever,
Or need help.
Pick your hard of going to the gym when you don't feel like it, and lifting hard and heavy weights, and being consistent in that, making it a priority. Like, you can always pick your hard, because life is hard. I'm not going to say, whoa, woe is me, but we make hard decisions. We do hard things. Pick your hard.
But that's where growth. That's where
Absolutely.
growth
That's
happens.
what I was just getting ready to say.
And if you can do hard things, you can do anything.
Exactly.
I mean-
and every time you make that hard decision, and even like go to the gym when you don't want to, make the healthy food choice if you don't want to.
But
It
why
makes it
don't you want to?
easier.
That's my question.
I think it's habit.
Yeah.
We get so stuck in those ruts, And that habit, because it's easy to not think about, is my meal balanced? Is my this? Am I
Or it's
getting
quick and
this?
easy.
Yes.
I'm
it's-
too tired
it's
to prepare.
easy. I've done this and it's easy. And, you know, it's just habit, you know, and people that don't walk, don't go to the gym or whatever, it's just a habit.
Yeah.
I mean, habits are hard. We know that because you
I know.
literally
Yeah.
have to rewire your brain. Like it's hard to break a habit and start a new one. Pick your hard.
Right. Or like we said earlier, if you just do one change, just one thing,
Yep.
and just change that, you will start to kind of, you know, other things will start to fall in place, and you'll start to make other changes.
Yeah.
And then it builds on itself. You know, so just do the one thing. Just
Do the
start
one
with
thing.
one thing.
But yeah,
that
like
can
you
do.
said, Jan, when you do that one thing, okay, minimum of 30 days or whatever, you're going to feel better. That is what gets the ball rolling.
Yes.
So that, you know, it's like, oh, well, I did this for 3 days and it's not working for me. So
Yeah.
I'm going to, 3 days, you
Is
have
nothing.
done nothing.
Yeah.
Like
You got to gut it out.
Yeah.
You got to gut
yeah.
it out. You do. And it goes back to how bad do you want it? You know, if you just have to really want it, you know, to make those changes that are actually going to do things,
Yeah.
you know? And so yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's a battlefield out there. Everything's working against you, you know, it seems sometimes,
Yeah.
but you know, you just weed through it.
Yeah.
Just weed through it and find what works for you, what's sustainable,
Yep.
you know, what you're going to be able to do long term. And then you'll see the results. And then that's just motivation to keep doing it,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's just, we beat this dead horse, but it's individualized. No human being is the same as another. Our bodies work differently. They like different things. We feel optimized at different levels or different things. So you're worth the effort, especially our perimenopause, menopause ladies. We are worth putting the time into ourselves. You were saying this is your third phase of life.
Yes.
This is freedom. We've said we need to have menopause parties. Why don't we need to make
This
that
is
a thing?
amazing.
Like,
We're wiser. Like we know everything.
We don't
So-
care.
yeah, we don't give
I don't care.
a F about what people think.
Right.
What,
right. This is what I'm doing,
right.
and I feel good.
Yep.
I'm happy. I'm optimized. Like whatever. Let's go.
There's so much power in it.
Yes.
So much power. And
yes,
like
but
you said,
we
freedom.
have to give ourselves. I don't want to say the freedom. We have to give ourselves permission.
Permission, that's the word.
you have to
be
make
there.
yourself a priority,
Priority.
right? So in our first phases, second phase, we're taking care of others,
Yes.
right? We're taking
Yes.
care of our kids, and we're taking care of our job and our career and our husband. We're doing all that, and then now it's just like we can take care of ourselves now.
Yeah.
Like and hopefully it's not too late, right? We haven't done too much damage,
Right.
Because we have. I did a ton of damage with sugar and processed foods. I did a ton of it and was starting to become insulin resistant. And I think the headaches were actually you have too much sugar in your system.
Wow.
This is it was
An
just
alert.
an
It
alert.
was a red.
It was an alert that you
blinking.
are going that something's wrong. And
Yes.
so once I changed that, and then was able to kind of adjust that, then it's just you just got to listen.
Well, and I think you're right on point with that, because I think about so many people just in general who will say, oh, I don't know why this is hurting or this is hurting. And then they go to the doctor and, oh, I've got this. Or now it's almost, we've become a society of labels.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's,
Well, diagnoses, and then here's
and
the
it's
drug
like,
to fix
and
that.
then it's like, okay, they take that on as their identity, and it's not. It's
No.
not who they are, and it could be something. Now, I'm not saying
Right. I
that
know, yeah.
there's that all illnesses are wrong, or
Right.
that. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
there are bad things out there, and I know that they are real.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that we can do to even make those better. And it could be as simple as a change in food. But listening to our bodies. And like you were saying, with the alarms going off, like our bodies are screaming at us.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I have a little arthritis in my back, and so that is what it is. It's not, but I can ease up those symptoms by just not being inflamed, because the inflammation is what causes the pain.
Yeah.
And so my back, what's going on?
What did I do?
eat?
Yeah, what did I
Right?
eat?
What did I
Yeah.
eat? And then, okay, I'm going to take a week and be super strict, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
It eases up.
Yeah.
So it's just there's a place for modern medicine. There is a place.
is.
Medications are amazing, but if you can do it through food,
Yeah.
I mean, hello,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you? And it's cheaper.
I was going to say cheaper
Right.
and healthier.
Yeah.
It can fix other ailments too.
Yeah. Your body, will, it's amazing how it will regenerate, how it'll tell you, when something's wrong. And then if you just support it appropriately,
Yeah.
it'll carry you through.
Yeah.
And through the later years, and when you need it,
For sure.
it'll be there for you. So you have
sure.
to take care of it, and you have to nurture it and support it.
Well, and like you were saying, even not just with the food, but I think our bodies do talk to us, and that's why we start showing symptoms of low hormones.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
because our body, I mean, that is what our body is saying, hey, and it's trying to reach out to us to say, hey, something's
just don't
wrong,
listen.
but we don't listen. But part of that is, going back to being educated and how we can educate, these younger girls
Yeah.
coming up and what they need to look for and be proactive about.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think we could sit here really
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
all
There's so
day
much.
because there is so much that we can do. But I liked what you said, Jan. Our bodies, God knew what He was doing when He made us. Every cell has its purpose and function, and it knows what it's supposed to do. So if we support it, if we nourish it, if we love it, if we take care of our bodies,
It's going to take care of
it
us.
will take care of us, and it will be healthy, and you will feel good. There are options. There are things that we can do. This is not end of life because, oh my gosh, I'm having hot flashes, or my hair is thinning, or my, whatever the case may be. There are things that we can do, and we should take those options. We should take those
Should
steps.
invest in ourselves.
Invest
it's
in
an investment.
ourselves, absolutely, and it's for quality of life. And that is just the bottom line. I mean, I think as humans,
How do you
we
wanna age?
complicate it. Yeah, we're the ones that make it complicated. How do you want to feel when you're playing with your grandkids? How do you feel, Jan? You're
Yeah,
probably
right.
like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm faster than you.
We're climbing trees and
Jan's like, try to catch me. That's how you want to be versus, okay, Granny's going to sit in the chair and I'm going to watch y'all run around and play
Right.
because I can't.
Right.
Garbage. We
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
That's not what we want.
Right. I agree. 100%. For sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Jan,
This has been awesome.
yeah, we really
fun.
appreciate you
A lot of
coming
fun.
today. Like I said, we could probably do this several more
Oh, I
times
know.
and deep dive
All these
into
things, it's like that's a whole nother topic, Heather. Just don't even say anything. It's a whole nother topic.
It's a
Right.
different episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Courtney's writing down notes. But we do.
Little rabbit holes that we go down. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going to do a soap making
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. I'll be teaching.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, Jan, we appreciate you being here today.
appreciate you having me.
Truly, because there's just too much that is not discussed and not talked about. And women, we deserve better. We're given all the hard things to do, okay? We have the periods, we have the babies, we have menopause. We're given all the hard things. We've been trusted by God with all these hard things. We deserve time. We deserve support. We deserve to now have phase 3
That's right.
and
Make
Enjoy.
ourselves a
have
priority.
parties
Exactly.
and feel good.
And not
Yeah.
be worn out when we get there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Feel good.
So, well, Jan, thank you. And we want to thank our listeners for listening and following along with us. And we'll have to have you back and
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Talk
We can
more
throw my
about it.
husband in here too. I'm sure
Yeah.
we can get his perspective.
Yes.
Oh, we have been talking about that,
Yeah.
getting the male perspective
Yeah.
on all of it, because
it's a
two
Yeah.
totally different ends of the spectrum a lot of times.
Yeah, he could probably shed a lot of light on his HR teacher.
That'd be
me going through it.
I
fantastic.
know.
Yeah.
I do want to have a guys panel, husband panel.
Yeah.
Because they matter too.
They do.
Guys
They
Well,
totally
they
do.
go through it. Okay.
Yeah.
They're sitting there
Yeah.
going,
Helpless.
What just happened?
Yeah.
They feel helpless.
"What
They
just
don't.
happened?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys,
Awesome.
till next time.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.